Okay, today I want to talk about reflections.
Oh, girl, you cute. Yes.
No, not that kind of reflection. Instead, I want to talk about self reflection. So, if you don't already know, I do have a website and I do write articles, different articles, pretty much once a week. One of the articles I talked about self reflection and I talked about the 5 steps to help you unlock the power to reflect effectively. In this video, I only really want to expand on that. So if you want to know my 5 steps, go check out the website. But for this, I'm just going to kind of expand on what it means to self-reflect. Self-reflection is the ability to analyze your character, actions, and motives for the purpose of growth. What that means is you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror, both figuratively and literally, to reflect the best image of yourself. When I talk about this in my article, like I said, I break down different steps about just knowing the difference between self-reflection and criticism. A lot of times we criticize ourselves, but that's not really self-reflection. So what I mean by criticism is, oh, you're not smart enough. Oh, you just messed this up. Oh, you're so fat, da 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 da. That really doesn't help you build your confidence. Self-reflection actually helps you build your confidence and give you the tools to really look at yourself objectively and understand what it is you want to achieve with your growth and personality. It's easier to justify the things that you do or don't do than it is to really take a look at what you're doing. You know, for example, you know how when you're in toxic relationships, but you sit and you justify the reason why you're staying in those relationships. So you're with a guy and you're just like, oh, I know he's cheated on me, but he always comes back and brings me flowers and apologizes. But when you see a friend doing the exact same thing, then it's, girl, you need to leave him because you deserve better. Well, how is it that she deserves better and you don't? How is it that you can justify what you're going through and not what she's going through? So many people try not to reflect on themselves because then they have to change things about themselves. And it's so much harder to change ourselves than it is to just sit in our mess and continue on a path that we're comfortable with. Self-reflection is hard. You really literally have to look at yourself and say, this needs to be different because. And like I said before, it's not about attacking yourself. It's about understanding that if you keep down the same path and keep doing the same things and keep justifying the same actions, you're going to keep seeing the same results. So when you reflect, you're opening up your life to the different results, to the possibilities of something new and better. So I want to talk about ways to be more honest with yourself. To be more honest with yourself, you first of all need to take in the fact that change is a good thing. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. If you see that your world is constantly going in the same direction and you're not really into the direction it's going in, that's when you need to step back and say, okay, how can I effectively change my direction? And you might not get it right away. Again, like I said, self-reflection is hard. So you might have to change one thing and realize it's not that, and then go back and change another thing and realize it's not that before you get to the thing that makes the difference. An example of that is your career. I can remember when I was in a process of trying to figure out my career path. And the first change that I made when I was in a job that I wasn't necessarily happy in was I worked towards a promotion. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm in a lower level position. Maybe that's why I'm not happy. So I worked my butt off. I qualified for a promotion and I got it. I got this promotion and then I realized not so much. But then I told myself, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm a supervisor and not a manager. So I worked a little harder and I became a manager. And then I realized not so much. So by the fourth or fifth time of doing it, of changing my career path, of saying, okay, maybe I should be a banquet manager. Okay, maybe I want to be an event manager. Okay, maybe I want to work in a different location in a different state. By the time I got through all of that, I went through about 7 different steps. And at the end of all of it, I realized that I wasn't even on the right career path. And that's what the reflection showed me. But if I hadn't tried all these different steps, I wouldn't have got there. And if I had just sat in the entry-level job, I would have just been miserable sitting in that entry-level job and not knowing that I needed to go somewhere else. That's what I want you to understand about self-reflection. That also gets into the lessons that you learn. Self-reflection is all about lessons. So in the process of doing all of that, I learned lessons. I took the different lessons I learned in each job and I applied them to my future. So they weren't all for nothing. Like, I did learn a lot of things and I did grow within each position that I took. I challenged myself, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and each time I moved to a different place, I realized how strong I was in the process. So don't think that just because something didn't work out originally, that you're not growing and learning, because you are. I learned so much pushing myself that if I had stayed here, I wouldn't have known any of that. And I wouldn't have had the strength to say, you know what, none of this is right, and I need to walk away and start fresh. Take in the different lessons. Don't be afraid of them. Embrace them. They will help you be the person that you want to be. And know that the lesson is never over. Change and reflection happens every day. You're going to always find different ways to improve upon yourself. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that the person you are now is lacking. But that means that there's always different ways to grow and change, to challenge yourself. Once you master one thing, then you want to try to master another thing. That's what reflection does. That's what the lessons do. For instance, push yourself to record a video. And you did, and you learned how to master that. Then it's time to push yourself to do something else. Maybe you can push yourself to speak or host a seminar or anything, you know. It doesn't have to stop. Keep reflecting, keep changing. If you reflected on your career, maybe it's time to reflect on your personal life. Maybe it's time to reflect on your social life. Don't think of it as a job as much as it's a building block. You never stop reflecting. You never stop believing that possibilities are endless. And in that mindset of endless possibilities, you'll see yourself reach new heights that you could have never imagined. I wanted to talk about these different steps and changes because they're so important to life. In the economy and the world that we're in now, it's so easy to get lost in the sauce. It's so easy to compare yourself to somebody on Instagram, somebody on TV, and thinking that you don't measure up, but you do. You measure up to you. That's why you reflect on how you want to be and not how somebody else is, and how you can be more like them. We're not meant to be like other people. We're meant to be ourselves. So when you reflect on that. Reflect on your building. Take chances, take risks, and build. Because you never know where that will take you. Not somebody else, but you. I want to leave you with this. If you want to see change, then you have to take action. Don't sit around contemplating and planning and never doing. Because if you never do, you're never gonna make it happen. And if you don't reflect on the things you've done in the past, you're not gonna learn how to do things better in the future. That goes with relationships, careers, social development, personal development, anything. You want to keep growing. Never stop growing. Never stop pushing yourself. Never stop reflecting. Please, please, please check out the description below. Leave me a comment and tell me about ways that you've reflected and changed over the years. I want to get to know you and how your growth can inspire other people. Again, I am Catherine Simone. This is the Mirror Image. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.